Hi everyone, welcome back. Taog's Hangar just released the Suit Aviation SA315B Lama, and this is a classic model that a lot of us rotorheads have been eagerly anticipating. Suit Aviation later became Aerospatiale, which is now, of course, Airbus. So the SA315B Lama was actually developed by taking the Alouette 2 design and mating it with the more powerful engine from the Alouette 3, specifically to give enhanced performance in high elevation. So this is the great granddaddy of the AS350B3, or H125 as it's known now, the Squirrel. And the external modeling on this is exceptional. It's done very well and the texturing is great to go along with it. It's definitely a step up from his first offering in Alouette 3. I had originally intended to take this for a spin around Courchevel in France, because what better place than to, take it in its home environment. But that's one of the areas where I've got the ortho tile popping bugs the worst, so I instead decided to take it to Idaho at McCall Field on an Orbex scenery for firefighting that's actually really well done as well. That review for another day. Taking a look at the inside, the modeling and texturing is done just as well, if not a little bit better on the inside as the exterior. It's really a step up from the days when our flight sims used to have these wireframe models as solid models with see-through textures. That's probably back from the FS98 days. And this startup is pretty simple. Pretty much turn the battery on and set the fuel gauge, but set the fuel valve open and flip the starter switch. It's the early predecessor to a FADEX system. You pretty much flip the switch and watch the gauge and wait for the turbine to come up to speed. And all of the sounds are excellent as well. The flip of the switches gives a nice satisfying click, and the turbine itself sounds great. This model also has a tablet for all of the options. You can see I just flipped the glare shield on and off and look at all the different options available. And this seems to be lately commonly known as an EFB, which is kind of a pet peeve of mine. EFB stands for Electronic Flight Bag, which is something more like ForeFlight, where you would keep your charts, tablets, weather information, any approach plates, your E6B electronic computer, your weight and balance, those kind of things. This to me is more of an options tablet. I don't plan on testing out the options today in this flight, but you can kind of look and see and go through. There's the ability to turn on and off the pilots. There's a medevac setup. There's a roof cover for blocking the sunlight from all the glass in this exceptional visibility cockpit. It has a different antenna setup, a spray kit, a Bambi bucket, a sling load, a whole bunch of things that I plan on trying out later, but I'm not sure where I stand on that since it's more visual than it actually is functional. Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020. But hopefully in the 2024 version we'll actually be able to use those items. It also has a ground handling wheel option. I know it was kind of confusing at first when I saw the description that said it had a wheeled version, but what it does actually is it puts the ground handling wheels on the back of the skids, and you can move the helicopter around on the ground without the engine started. Once you've got it started up, basically it's pretty simple. You just advance the fuel flow lever, wait for the rotor RPM and engine RPM to stabilize, and you're ready to go. Okay, we're all set. Let's go flying. I found it to be stable and predictable in the hover. It is a little bit touchy, but that is typical for this type of helicopter. Being the predecessor to the Squirrel, I pretty much expected that of it, but it's nimble as well. So with the increase in instability stability comes the increase in maneuverability. We'll tip it forward and get going for a nice takeoff here in Idaho. Again, I cannot get over how well modeled it is. It's just stunning. It's beautiful inside and out. It's a joy to look at. The animations are spectacular. The rotor, when it's not moving, you can actually see the increase in the angle of attack of the blades moving the cyclic as well as the collective, and also on the tail rotors. I'm not sure about the phase of the cyclic. It seemed like they all moved the same amount no matter where I moved the cyclic, but they did move when I was testing it out, so it's a good start. Now this version, the rotor spins clockwise, so it's a right power pedal helicopter. So as you increase the collective, you have to increase right pedal. And I did find that as you were passing through ETL and getting more up to cruise speed, that you could input left pedal. As the tail rotor also goes through ETL and becomes more efficient, you can ease off that right pedal input. Now, I did find that it was a little bit touchy in the cruise. I found that I was chasing the VSI, or vertical speed indicator, to maintain level flight. I'm not sure if that's how this model flies. I only have real-world experience with Robinson helicopters, which all have a pretty decent vertical and horizontal stabilizer. This version, this helicopter, does not have a vertical stabilizer, so I would expect that it would be a little more touchy in the yaw axis in a cruise, but it does have a horizontal stabilizer, so I was surprised at the touchiness of pitch axis in cruise. However, I'm not sure if that's a fault of the flight model or if that's how this helicopter actually flies. I would have to defer to someone who has actual experience in the Llama. One of the really nice touches that I did notice, I didn't catch it on takeoff, but I caught it when I was slowing down as I was decelerating through ETL. The transverse flow effect did actually shake the instrument panel a little bit. I thought that was pretty cool. That's kind of something that we call riding the burble. When you're slowing down and coming in for a landing, you can feel that shake, and you can almost ride that in on the edge of ETL, so that you don't lose that additional lift of ETL until you're actually slowed down, because it takes a bit of a power increase to make up for that loss of lift. And that's obviously before you encounter ground effect. Just checking out some of the detail on this airport. This again is McCall Municipal Airport from Milo Taylor that I picked up through Orbex. It's Kilo Mike Yankee Lima. It's part of the Idaho backcountry. He's got several out there. There's Soldier Bar 85 uniform, as well as the Deadly 3 and Not So Deadly 3. That's all great scenery. Because I'm not really reviewing it in this video, but I recommend them. They're wonderful. I can't say enough about the Llama. It's a wonderful add-on. It's a great helicopter. It behaved like I expected. I didn't have any what the hell moments where it didn't respond to a control input or responded to a control input in a way that I didn't expect. It's very well done. I picked it up from flightsim.to for $24.99 US, and is well worth the price. Thanks for watching. Be safe, be kind, and I'll see you in the next video.